WWE Saturday night's main event is this Saturday night, December the 14th, from the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island. And Brandon, I might have said this to you before, but my job outside of my day job in the radio business, when it comes to how they pay me more in the money I save by having to work than they do in the money I get. And unfortunately, that's the precursor here for Saturday night's main event, because if I wasn't on the other end of a professional hockey game this Saturday night, I would be down at Saturday night's main event, but alas, I could not get out. So I will be watching on TV like most of you at home. But Nassau Coliseum is a historic building. This overall, you might not even know it, is the 37th Saturday night's main event since its inception. It is the first Saturday night's main event since 2008. If you remember, WWE brought back the Saturday night main event in 2006. They had the really awesome one with the tag team match with John Cena and Shawn Michaels, it was like the two who were in the main event teaming up with each other. It might have been Shawn Michaels and John Cena. But it was, an awesome thing. It was from Cobo Hall in Detroit. It was live on NBC. It was like right before WrestleMania. It really felt kind of like a big time PLE. And then it didn't take long before they ruin it. Just like they did with ECW. ECW starts strong under the WWE banner, and then they start to be like, how can we homogenize this? And it turned into, in 2008, a pre-taped 1 hour show that I think aired at like 11:30 at night on a Saturday night in the middle of the summer, that was taped prior to SmackDown like 2 weeks earlier. It was taped on July 28th and aired on August 2nd. So this will be the first live Saturday night's main event since 2006. Like I said, they've had 3 since then that were taped and then ruined it, essentially why it stayed in dormant for about 16 years. But WWE's bringing it back. They're doing their best with this to make it a good show. It's all retro. I want to start off with simply this. What do you think about the Winged Eagle belt? Big rumors are that Cody Rhodes is coming out with that on Saturday night.
I think that would be cool. I think it'd be a good look. I mean, that's one of the, in the history of WWE, WWF, that's one of the more popular belts. It's a fan favorite. So I think it'd be cool. Obviously, it's something that Cody Rhodes has talked about in the past, whether it was on WWE programming or just in podcasts, just any appearance. He's always had his eye on that, and I think it'd be cool to have him walk out with that belt. I mean, Saturday night's main event is going to be a good show. I'm looking forward to it. It's going from where we were before to where we are now. It's not taped. It's not taped 2 weeks in advance and this and that. Like, WWE's pulling out all the stops, and I'm looking forward to it.
If we want to call, because the term pay-per-view has a meaning, right? And it's always had a meaning. And then they threw the term PLE on it, premium live event, and which could have variation of meaning because it means it's a special live event. It's not Raw. It's not SmackDown. It's a standalone thing, right? That's how we call Survivor Series and WrestleMania now. So essentially, and I imagine WWE is doing it to the grin of some fans, but this is a PLE. This is, for all intents and purposes, you can watch it on Peacock for one. It's live on a Saturday night, and it's got 5 matches with some of them being for championships. I don't know what a PLE looks like to you, but this is it. Just because it's also on NBC, it doesn't count. If anything, it's probably a bigger deal, right? Because Survivor Series is only on Peacock. No one's going to find that by accident. This is going to be exposed to even more eyeballs than a Survivor Series or a Bad Blood or a Bash in Berlin, right? It's in primetime. It's on NBC. It's during, the height of, like football season and Christmas. So there's a lot of eyeballs on like primetime television this time of year. It's got 5 matches. And I don't know if you've seen the PLEs lately, the Survivor Series of the world, but it's probably going to have less commercials than those do. Because we're getting used to those being just treated like television shows. Between matches, it's like 10 minutes of commercials and stuff going on. So it's really not going to be much worse. It may be better because it's all in 2 hours of time. So we might actually have less. We actually have to have less commercials in a way, right? Because we got 5 matches, but in a finite 2 hour period of time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Would you say you're looking forward to this more or on the same level or less than Survivor Series?
Oh, that's a tough question because you know how I love the Survivor Series. I I mean, I'll always say Survivor Series first because I'm a Survivor Series guy. I got to stay on my brand. I've been saying this on the podcast for the almost 8 years now. So I got to stay on brand. But I'm looking forward to this. They're doing this revamping, but they're also making it a throwback. Jesse the Body Ventura, he even said he's going to bring out and dust off some 80s attire. So I'm looking forward to seeing the graphics. I'm looking forward to seeing how people are dressed. I'm looking forward to the whole thing. It's going to look cool.
Jesse Ventura also says that he can't be controlled, and when he's got a live mic, he's going to do what he wants, regardless whatever anyone tells him. So we'll see if this is his first and only Saturday Night's Main Event. He signed on for the others, but we'll see. He does say that in a podcast when they were getting some details about it with Bill Simmons, it's expecting to be 4 Saturday Night Main Events throughout the year. I do think it's kind of weird that the next premium live event on the WWE calendar is another Saturday Night's Main Event. I imagine there'll be one in March, so I hope the one in January doesn't supersede having one in March. And I also don't know if this counts towards that, right? Meaning that the one in January might be the start of the new year, so we might have 4 in 2025, and this might be a 5th, but still in 2024 as the first, and then 4 in the next year. So I hope they make them good every time in the sense of they have meaning, they have purpose, they're live, they're not just treated as just something to throw on the television. And I want to start with the main event because, this seems so, if you're not thinking about it and you've been thinking about Cody Rhodes' title run since WrestleMania, on the surface, this actually looks to me like the most legitimate opportunity for Cody Rhodes to not be the champion anymore. But I'm also saying that it's not going to be Cody Rhodes losing the championship for the sole purpose of this event being so big and with so many eyeballs, and with Cody Rhodes being the Hulk Hogan of this event, right? And Hulk Hogan never lost the title on a Saturday Night's Main Event. He can't lose the title. But at the same time, I would say on a match perspective, and if this was just a Armageddon PLE or something like that, I would be all in on Kevin Owens winning this championship. What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't dislike Kevin Owens and him, the prospects of a future title run with him potentially. I don't buy it on a Saturday night event, main event. I just don't think it's going to happen on this main event. I think it's going to be a good match.
I don't think it's going to at this event. I don't think it's going to happen at this event, particularly because Cody Rhodes is your flag bearer. And again, a lot of new eyeballs might be on the product. You're not going to go off the air with your flag bearer essentially having lost, right? It's like Hulk Hogan was a staple on Saturday Night's Main Event back in the day. He was always successful on Saturday Night's Main Event.
Here's the thing, though. I do think there is going to be a title change, I think, on Saturday Night's Main Event. There's so many titles on the line. To me, looking at the card here, honestly, I think Io Sky is in line for a championship. I think she might be the one that if anyone's walking out this weekend, which I feel like there's got to be a title change. I think to make this cool, I think they got to make it. Somebody's got to win a title, make it a cool moment. I think Io Sky is the one. I think she's the favorite out of all of them to win a title this weekend.
Yeah, and obviously, if you watch on Monday Night Raw this past week, there was that thing where they went off the air with Rhea Ripley, also with the title just sitting there, kind of getting involved and showing that she's going to get back in the title picture. So a lot of interest going on there, as well as the fact on Monday Night Raw, they made what was Gunther versus Damian Priest a one-on-one match, and now a triple threat match. Do you think that is all but assures Gunther retains, thanks to what will probably be Finn Balor and Damian Priest worrying about each other more than the championship?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. I think it's going to be old Judgment Day business and old Judgment Day brethren, having their issues that haven't been, finalized yet. And I think Gunther's going to take advantage. And honestly, I would say if I had to pick who's going to take the fall, I think it's going to be Damian Priest. I think Damian Priest takes the fall because I do think Finn Balor is on an upper trajectory. So to me, I think having him not in the decision, I think will actually make things better for him because the way he's been presented lately, he actually looks like he could be the champion. Like if anyone's going to take the title off of Gunther at this point, Finn Balor's definitely building a really good case. I just don't think it's yet. I think what happens is they're gonna draw this out, and it's gonna be one of those things where Finn will blame it on Damian Priest Damian Priest takes the pinfall on from Gunther, and then Gunther and Finn Balor, Finn Balor like say, hey, we got some finished business because you didn't pin me, and then they do something later potentially.
Speaking of championships, we will have not a championship necessarily change hands, but we'll be crowning a new champion. The Women's United States Champion will be crowned, the inaugural one. It's right now between Bayley, Chelsea Green, Meechin, and Tiffany Stratton, right, as a recording. I think they're going to sell that up on a SmackDown, what it's going to be one-on-one in the end. Out of those four, right, who are you thinking is leaving as the inaugural Women's United States Champion?
Who do we got as the four again? I'm
Bayley, Chelsea Green, Meechin, and Tiffany Stratton.
I mean, it makes so much sense for like somebody like Bayley, because Bayley's like, I think
so.
Yeah, because I mean Bayley's won everything in the women's division. Like, she's done it all, and I feel like this would be another piece of the resume, I think. But don't count out Tiffany Stratton.
I will say I think it makes sense because of what you just said, right? Winning all these championships. Remember, these are created in theory to be stepping stone championships. And we talked about this in a segment weeks ago about how no main event people, and that's essentially the issue with a women's division in general of having these mid-card titles, is the fact of having the roster to win them. I'm personally, I wasn't necessarily a fan of the United States Championship being introduced, but I'm probably less of a fan with the fact that we brought in the U.S. and Intercontinental Championship at the same time. So we went from no mid-card title to 2 mid-card titles with the Tag Team Championship. I'm just wondering how that's sustainable, and we're getting a big flux of women coming in. I don't know. But in order for this belt, for me, out of the people that I see, there's 2 people that I think are potential, and they are Meechin and they're Chelsea Green. So they're the 2 opposite that you were talking about. And I'm gonna put it in favor of Chelsea Green, right? We got to keep other people relevant. Bayley's relevant already. Tiffany Stratton has money in the bank, right? She's got a contract for any championship she wants anytime. That's essentially like having a championship. So Chelsea Green, I think, is a perfect candidate, and maybe Meechin as well for this mid-card championship, especially the inaugural
I'll counter you,
one.
though. I'll counter you with this. For me, if they want to put this title on the map, I don't think you put it on Chelsea Green so much. I get the premise that it's, you're trying to build it as a stepping stone to the next level, but you want to put some juice behind this title, and the person that would probably put the most juice and the most, I would say, like, okay, credibility to the belt would be Bayley, because of Bayley's lineage, like what she's done for the business. I feel like she'd be a great flag bearer, and don't get it twisted. In that case, I don't think it's a stepping stone for her per se. It's more so putting this title on the map and putting the trajectory of that title, for the future of whoever gets it after her. For me, I think Bayley's the flag bearer. They
threw in one non-title match here, but it's an interesting match nonetheless. It's got some big names in it, if you will. Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre. What is your interest in this match, and who do you think is going to come out on top?
I'm very interested in this match. I mean, I like Drew. I like Sami. I think they're both really, they're on fire. They're all firing on all cylinders right now. Both of them are. I think they're doing a hell of a job. Drew's just got back, but I mean, Drew hasn't missed a step, even being out. Like, he looks like it's like unfinished business here with him. And, I think the way Drew came back, I think it's the perfect way for him to come back in his first match in a while, and that's beat Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's a very good competitor. He doesn't need the win as much as Drew, in my opinion. I think Drew needs this. I think he's going to get some momentum, and I think there's going to be another title that he's going to have his eyes on in the near future.
You know what I think this overall event shows to a lot of people out there, in my hatred of 3-hour Raws and 3-hour SmackDowns, is that this event, most likely, if it has a pre-show match, it'll have one, like a dark match. Maybe it'll have 2. Maybe it'll have a dark match before and a dark match after. I don't know. But the point is, if you're going to this event, you can really only expect 2.5 hours of action. The ticket says 7:30. That's the time they expect you to be in the door. They might throw a match your way before 8 o'clock hits. The show is on NBC, so it's got a really finite 2-hour period of time, and then maybe they'll throw you a match afterwards. But the point is, you're going to go to this event. It's going to be more highly attended than a traditional Raw. It's a very highly thought after event. It's like going to a pay-per-view. It's only going to give you 2.5 hours of action at the most, only 2 hours of television action at the most, with commercials even in there. So really within that time, it's only about an hour and a half of wrestling, and you're going to be fine with it. And everyone's going to, as long as the card is good and as long as the matches are good, no one's going to leave there going, the card was great, but it wasn't enough time, right? Because it's all about the product more than it is about the length. If I go to WrestleMania and it's only 2 hours long, but it was a banger 2 hours, that's what matters most. And I think this is a good example of that, because I would love to go. If I had the opportunity to go to this, I would be there, and I'd be fine with the amount of time it was. And this would be an event that I would bring somebody who, and again, it's going to be on NBC too, so it's going to get those same eyeballs. But we talked about it in the past. People who aren't full-time wrestling fans, maybe casual wrestling fans, maybe haven't watched a product in years, this would be an event that I would bring them to, because it's got the nostalgia of wrestling, it's got the importance of the matches, and it's got the finite period of time in which that it's going to be. It's not going to drag on. We're not going to see an AEW pay-per-view going until 2 o'clock in the morning, right? It's a television show length. Everything's important. It's got the nostalgia factor. It might have Hulk Hogan at it. It's got Jesse the Body Ventura at it, right? So it's got the cool factor. It's got the short factor. It's got the everything matters factor. And also, if you're a casual fan, you do get that kind of bump, and you know it as a sports fan. When your team's playing on Monday Night Football, it feels more important, or Sunday Night Football, or one of those kind of things, right? So if you're not a wrestling fan, but you see that this is on NBC, and you can go tell your friends at work, hey, I went to a wrestling show the other day, and they go, oh, is it the one I saw on TV? Yeah, I'm not a wrestling fan myself, but that looked like a big deal. Like, if it's something that feels like a big deal, even if you're not a wrestling fan, then you'd be more interested in it. If you know that, like WrestleMania, right? I bring somebody who's never watched wrestling to WrestleMania, they're gonna think, I'm not a big fan, but this is pretty cool, and I'll take in the importance of it from that. So,
well, I want to add to that though. Like with the Saturday Night Main Event, I think you hit on it. Everything matters. There's not fluff, and I think like you mentioned, I think that's great for a casual fan or someone who's maybe learning about it, doesn't really pay attention to it. Maybe it's somebody we're trying to reel in. I think it's great for that, because you're going to have a really good card. And I will say this, to your point, living where we do, we're based out of Syracuse, New York. A lot of people, myself included, will go up for a 2-hour basketball game, spend hard-earned money out there. And you know what? If after 2 hours, it is what it is. It's a good night. You're good to go. So this, to me, two and a half hours for a really good show, fine by me as well.
Yes, and like I said, if I had the opportunity to bring somebody who's not a wrestling fan, I did bring somebody recently to AEW, and they enjoyed it for probably the first 2 hours before it started to get a little redundant, right? This is a perfect length of time. The show starts at 8 o'clock. It's over at 10 o'clock. No one's falling asleep in their chairs, right? It's at a historic venue, right, that WWE doesn't use that much, because it's kept up, but not from a perspective of having like a major tenant. It's more considered like a niche venue that hosts concerts and family events and stuff like that nowadays. Does have a smaller capacity, as it did before, to kind of cater to that niche. Yeah. Because it doesn't host the Islanders anymore, NBA basketball, or any of that stuff. But it's a cool place. It's short show. Everything matters, no fluff, and if you're taking someone, you're on the drive, and they go, what is this, on like YouTube or on some sort of cable channel I don't get, and you tell them, no, it's on NBC, so you can call your non-wrestling friends as well, maybe they'll see you on TV or something, and that's kind of a cool factor.
Here's the thing, too, some people, if you don't have an antenna or, cable and things like that, because we are in the streaming world, as long as you have Peacock, you can watch it on there as well.
It's on, so essentially it's on free TV. It's on free TV, but it's also on Peacock, so you can watch it on replay later, but it's also on free TV. So a good event overall. I'm pretty excited about it. Like I said, I really think, because, we talk about it all the time. Everyone can't have the Roman Reigns title reign, and WWE lately has been having these lengthy title reigns, and they can't go on forever. And when we do our end of the year show, I do want to talk about essentially who is not of the current champions going to be heading into WrestleMania as champion, because Gunther or Cody Rhodes, I really feel one of them isn't going to be the champion from now until WrestleMania, and who is it going to be? And I personally think that this is a great time. Not saying that Cody Rhodes would lose the belt forever if he lost to Kevin Owens. I think it would be a good time to start like a feud going, a back and forth. Kevin Owens wins it. Maybe they add Randy Orton into the mix, that kind of stuff. And if this was Armageddon or a PLE, I would actually be really heavy on Kevin Owens beating Cody Rhodes for the belt and starting that road to WrestleMania with the back and forth chase. But it is this big flag bearer show, and I don't think Cody Rhodes is the company's Hulk Hogan right now. Roman Reigns isn't on this show. The Rock isn't on this show. So you're not going to bring in a new audience who's used to Hulk Hogan from the past or Stone Cold from the past and throw them all in this turmoil. You're going to give them kind of the homogenized, what you expect, the good guy triumphs. Now, final question to you. Saturday night's main event, historically in the past, started the show with the main event. That's how they always used to do it. I think that's because the show used to start a lot later in the night in place of Saturday Night Live, and they would start at like 11:30 on the dot with the main event, and then cater on through the night with maybe a decent match to end. And I think we might have saw that at the live 2006 version as well. Do you think the show ends with Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, or do you think it ends with something else?
I think it ends with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. I think they're going to hold it this way. They're going to have on the front end. I think they start with the women. I think they're going to go Liv Morgan, Io Sky. I think that would be cool. And then they'll put in the other matches in between. And then I think Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. That's why people are going to this. Now, I mean, I know the nostalgia and I get all that, but people want to see that match. So I think they're going to hold off and let the fans kind of get salivated, and then they're going to finish the night with that match.
I really want to see those vignettes at the start, and you know what I'm talking about, the classic Saturday Night Main Event vignettes when the show starts and they got that like kind of ticker music going, and it'll be like Cody Rhodes in front of like a green screen. It'll be like, I'm Cody Rhodes, the WWE Universal Champion, and tonight, Kevin Owens, your time is up or something. And then they shoot to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens like, and I'm the challenger, Kevin Owens. And Cody Rhodes, you know what? Your time is up. You're, a sympathizer for Roman Reigns, and I can't stand that. And I'm putting you out of the championship tonight. Or that's a spitball on the fly kind of thing. But I know they're going to do that. It's a nostalgia night. I don't know if you remember in 2006, right? I think it was like Shawn Michaels or something, and he's like, I'm a singles competitor, and then John Cena like pops in, and tonight you're teaming with me, and that, I just love that beginning of Saturday Night's Main Event. So I'm excited for the show. Can't wait to watch it, and the next week, can't wait to talk about it.